Thank you very much, Secretary DPIIT, Secretary Commerce, for providing an overview of the work done in both the departments and how the budget will help industry and commerce to serve the people of India better. I truly believe this is a game-changing budget which lays the foundation for a future-ready India. This budget is a budget which promises progress, prosperity, and gives pride to every Indian, prepares every Indian to engage with the rest of the world with a renewed confidence, and therefore we call it the budget of Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is a budget of our confidence. It is a budget of our self-reliance. The Honorable Finance Minister, under the guidance and leadership of Prime Minister Modi, has over the last 12 months since May 2020 come up with a series of mini budgets and several transformational initiatives were announced in the various Atmanirbhar Bharat packages from time to time. In fact, the Atmanirbhar Bharat packages, while on the one hand provided relief to the poor, the needy, the middle class, particularly in terms of the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, the packages simultaneously brought out a series of reform measures, brought out a series of support measures, both fiscal and monetary, to help industry get back on its feet in the post-COVID lockdown period, to help industry with liquidity support, to handhold businesses both in the domestic sector and our international trade in goods and services, to once again get back to its original numbers and then go forward with strength to take the economic activity on a fast track mode. In this budget, there's a lot of emphasis on infrastructure, which, as we are all aware, has a huge multiplier impact. And with that multiplier impact, we believe that there will be a significant impetus to economic growth in the coming year and the years to come. This, of course, primarily deals with the government support to infrastructure. Private sector investments in infrastructure will be over and above this, giving an overall boost to the economy. One major factor that has been given a lot of thrust is the Make in India program and the encouragement given to Indian industry, both to produce for the domestic market and produce surpluses for the world market. As the industry secretary mentioned, through a series of announcements for production-linked incentives, the government has come up with measures which will expand the production ecosystem rapidly in several sectors, and a rough estimate that our industry department had done on 24 sectors where we are focusing through a variety of measures. It could be PLI, it could be quality control orders, it could be ease of doing business, it could be tariff rationalization, several different measures, including export promotion and marketing and logistics support, will help India expand its production, annual production, by about 20 lakh crores. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a significant sum. These are sectors where India has competitive advantage and can offer its products to the rest of the world and expand our global market share in the true spirit of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Further, we are looking at various initiatives towards ease of doing business, particularly at the state and the municipal levels, also at the central level. But collectively, we are working towards a single window system, also towards a digitally enabled land bank, where all the various states in the country will provide details of land available with them, all the other infrastructures associated with industry to truly move towards plug and play system. And we believe that all these collective measures, some in the Atmanirbhar Bharat packages, some in the budget, various initiatives of the central government through its various ministries, and the efforts of the state government, all of these measures put together will give a big boost to opportunities for our youth, for our young boys and girls, for our skilled manpower. Because as you are all aware, if infrastructure investment of 5-6 lakh crores by the government itself, supplemented with infrastructure investments by the private sector, production value growth of nearly 20 lakh crores every year happens, all of these will add a lot of job opportunities and work opportunities to the people of India. Nearly 30-35% of all additional output normally goes towards labor and associated costs. And to my mind, it will have a huge impact in providing newer avenues for our young boys and girls to work and demonstrate their entrepreneurial ability. My sense through interaction with various youngsters in several forums is that today's youth does not want to only look for government jobs. Obviously, if Railways comes out with a job requirement, there'll be a number of applicants who will try to get that job. But by and large, a young, educated person today is wanting to be bold, look at new ideas, innovations, inventions, newer ways of doing work, provide services to industry, to businesses, or to the people of India, and effectively become a job creator rather than a job seeker. Through the presentation, we've tried to bring out the various initiatives of our last 1 year and also what the budget has proposed. To my mind, we can say that this budget has committed India to speed, skill, and scale to make India in its products and services globally competitive. It addresses the requirements of the future to make India comparable to other economies, developing economies who are expanding their international engagement very rapidly. It promotes entrepreneurship. It promotes international trade. And it enhances the business confidence both for stakeholders who are doing domestic business and stakeholders involved in international business. I'm sure this budget will go down as the beginning of a huge momentum to Indian industry and India's exports, and will help us in preparing the nation, as I said earlier, to be future ready. It will help the nation in provide quality work to our next generation. It will develop and inculcate sustainable practices amongst the people of India. promotes sustainability, and growth with sustainability is the way forward. The government of India, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, is committed to provide an enabling environment, as easy to work, a plug and play environment towards sustainable growth, sustainable development, and a more prosperous India, a better and brighter future for the youth of India. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Both secretaries are with us. I am there. We are all open to any questions on the subject that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our friends from media have sent the questions. I will read out on their behalf. First question is from PTI Rajesh Rai.
No, I suggest you read out the name. I'd rather the person ask the question himself.
Okay, sir. Rajesh Rai from PTI. Rajesh.
You can go to the next.
Then Prabha Raghavan from Indian Express.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Sir, actually, I wanted to ask a few questions related to the status of the reviews that India was doing on its various FTAs and what the findings of these reviews were. Which reviews are underway on priority right now and why?
Madam, we have existing FTAs with Japan, Korea, and ASEAN countries. The review with Korea is already underway. With Japan and other ASEAN countries, we are trying to prepare the roadmap and scoping paper so that we can start the reviews quickly. We believe that India has comparative advantages to look at greater engagement with developed world like the US, UK, EU. The US has just had a change in the administration, and we are waiting for the new US trade representative to be confirmed. Once the new US trade representative is in office, we will start a dialogue with them to look at how we can expand our business and our international engagement with them, both through market access, tariffs. There's different ways in which we can look at expanding our trade relationship. I've had a wonderful set of engagements with the United Kingdom Secretary of State for International Trade, Ms. Elizabeth Truss, last week.
Right.
And we have both agreed to work on a mission mode towards an enhanced trade partnership leading towards a free trade agreement. We have also had a very high-level dialogue with the European Union, and both sides have agreed to have the officials restart discussions on all the relevant tracks.
Sir, coming to what you said on India and US's relations.
We have several.
Just one. It's just a follow up on what you just said. There was a mini trade pact that you had spoken about with the US. Now that there has been a change of guard, how does that impact the status of this trade pact according to you?
We'll have to wait for the new USTR to come in, and we'll have to hear from the new administration what is in their mind. We also have certain thoughts about it. It's only after we have engaged with the new administration that we can comment on that.
All right. Thank you so much.
Now I invite Rajesh if he's there. Rajesh from PTI.
Move on.
Sir, Satya Prakash from UNI. Deep Shikha from ET. Mr. Dasmana from Business Standard.
Yeah, my question related to MSP. Recently, at
Excuse me,
policy
we are
review,
discussing commerce and industry here. If you have
Yeah,
any
WTO.
question on commerce and industry, it is welcome.
It relates to WTO.
Okay.
No, the WTO at its policy review had said that MSP given by the government of India is distorting market conditions. And recently, government, you also had negotiations with farmers. The government has said that MSP will continue till perpetuity. So, is MSP WTO compliant or?
We have a peace clause under which, for our public procurement purposes, we are permitted to buy from the marketplace, and the MSP operations that we are currently doing are completely WTO compliant. Commerce Secretary, you want to add something on that?
Yes, sir. Actually, our MSP programs are WTO compliant. They are within the 10% de minimis that we are allowed by way of agricultural subsidies. And to the extent, because of public procurement for food security, if we exceed our de minimis, then as Honorable Minister said, we have a peace clause also. And our subsidies are, as I mentioned, within our WTO limits, and developing countries' subsidies are moderate compared to what the developed world itself gives. Developed world gives much higher order of subsidies. So distortions, of course, subsidies cause distortions, but the distortions caused by developing countries are of a minimal quantum compared to what the West does. Thank you.
Sir, there's one question from the social media, which is that path for new DGWTO is almost clear. Who is positive about India? What are the expectations of WTO, especially relating to COVID-19 IPR waiver?
Well, we are very happy that Dr. Gozi Ivela is going to be the new Director General of WTO. She will be the first lady to be taking office at WTO, and the first ever from Africa. She comes from Nigeria. I interacted with her on several occasions and found her to be very sensitive to the demands and requirements of the developing world and the less developed world. I'm sure she will bring a lot of value to the WTO. We have, of course, a lot of expectations. We hope the appellate body will be put in place quickly. We hope that the benefits of SND treatment will continue for perpetuity or for a longer period of time under the WTO, and the various negotiations going on a plurilateral basis will move to multilateral negotiations on e-commerce and other areas, and fast conclusion of the fisheries subsidies negotiation, so that countries like India, which have suffered from the disadvantages of certain countries giving large subsidies to their fisheries sector, can be addressed and removed. We also believe that the fisheries subsidies should be based on polluter pays principle, so that developing world like India has a policy space and we can continue to give support at least proportional to the support that the developed world is giving for a significant period of time. We have given, along with South Africa, a joint proposal for waiver from TRIPS agreement to support the COVID-19 vaccine availability or other medicine availability that may emerge in the future to all the countries, particularly the less developed countries or developing nations, at affordable prices. About 100 countries have already supported us at the WTO. There is some resistance from the developed world. We are working along with all the other countries to try and come to a common position. Thank you.
So I'll read out Rajesh Rai's question. He has asked, exports have recorded positive growth in December 20 and January 21. Do you expect the trend to continue in the coming months? Which are the major world markets where our exports are growing? He also wants to know about the RoDTEP scheme. By when we can expect that?
Well, you will appreciate that our growth in exports, particularly in merchandise exports, in December and January, is on the backdrop of several developed countries, including many in Europe, in the US, the UK, all being at different stages of lockdown and all having significant COVID-related issues at present. So considering that going forward with the rollout of the vaccine across the world, I do hope economic activity in the developed world will also pick up quickly and we'll be able to continue the trend of growing exports. Of course, the government is also doing a lot of handholding and supporting our export industry, which will, I hope, continue to show growing trend in our exports. The RoDTEP scheme has technically been notified to be implemented from 1st January. We have a Pillai committee which is working out the rates of RoDTEP, and the Finance Ministry and Commerce Ministry are working to prepare the framework under which the RoDTEP will be given and the sectors to which the RoDTEP will be made eligible.
Thank you, sir.
But the application is from 1st January 2021. Thank you.
Sir, another question from the social media is that you had individually met more than 20 corporate groups a few months back to resolve their issues. What is the status from these meetings?
We had, as the industry ministry's job is to ensure that there is more investment into India, there's more growth, there's ease of doing business, and jobs are encouraged, job creation is encouraged in the country. We are regularly in touch with all the industry associations and with the large groups who are engaged in a series of or in a number of sectors to understand if they have any operational difficulties and resolve their problems. Those engagements were held in the pre-COVID period. There was a lot of issues that were flagged off, which have been resolved by our ministry through interministerial or consultations with the states. In the COVID period, we had engagement with export promotion councils and industry associations very, very regularly. I mean, almost every few days, we were on a VC with one or the other set of industries, set of exporters to resolve their problems on a real-time basis. And I think that has contributed to the rapid revival of trade and commerce and industrial production in India. Going forward, as the impact of this budget is also felt on the ground, as production-linked incentives become available, as there's economic revival in the rest of the world, my belief is that all the industrial sentiment, the mood of the nation is very positive today, and we'll see significant investments, both domestic and foreign, coming into India. Thank you.
सर नमस्कार, मैं सर शैलेश यादव हूँ A9 न्यूज एजेंसी से।
शैलेश जी एक रुक जाइए सर। दीपशिका जी का क्वेश्चन है, इंडियन ट्रेडर्स हैव बीन कंप्लेनिंग अबाउट माल प्रैक्टिसेस एंड वायलेशंस बाय सम एमएनसी ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म्स। इज द गवर्नमेंट रीलुकिंग एट द एफडीआई पॉलिसी फॉर ई-कॉमर्स? Sir, you are not audible. Sir.
There is no change in the e-commerce policy per se. The e-commerce policy is very robust, well designed, and operating in India in several sectors. However, there are certain complaints from consumers and from small retailers about certain practices of the e-commerce companies which are under investigation. We have sought for several informations. They are being looked into. We are also considering certain clarifications to ensure that the e-commerce sector works in the true spirit of the law, of the rules that have been laid down for e-commerce. To reiterate, e-commerce is supposed to provide an agnostic platform so that buyers and sellers can trade with each other. The platform should not become a part of the trading transaction, should neither be funding it, should neither be having algorithms which give preference to one or the other, should neither be promoting their own products, but provide all data that is required for a rational choice. And the choice should be a free choice of the consumer. We believe the buyers and sellers should be given an opportunity to trade with each other. The platform only is a service provider. And those who break that law will certainly have to respond to our concerns and correct their business practices at the earliest.
सर सत्यप्रकाश जी का प्रश्न है, कृषि से जुड़े उद्योगों, खासकर खाद्य प्रसंस्करण उद्योगों के उत्पादों के निर्यात को प्रोत्साहन देने की क्या योजना है और नई विदेश व्यापार नीति कब तक आने की संभावना है?
एग्रीकल्चरल एक्सपोर्ट पॉलिसी, कृषि के संबंध में जो पॉलिसी डॉक्यूमेंट है, उससे हमारा मानना है कि कृषि से संबंधित जो उत्पाद है उसका निर्यात बढ़ेगा और जहां तक हो सके जो सामान बाहर जाता है वो वैल्यू एडेड प्रोडक्ट है, उसका प्रोसेसिंग होके हाई वैल्यू एडेड प्रोडक्ट्स हम भारत से अगर बेचते हैं, उदाहरण के लिए अगर हम फल सब्जियों को प्रोसेस करके एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं या अगर हम ऑर्गेनिक प्रोडक्ट्स पे नई चिंता करते हैं और उस पर ज़्यादा बल देते हैं, तो हमारा मानना है कि उससे एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट्स भी बढ़ेंगी और हमारी कंपेटिटिव एज भी आएगी। ऑफ कोर्स भारत के स्पाइसेस, भारत की टेस्ट का भी उसका लाभ हमें मिल पाएगा और जो स्वादिष्ट चीज़ें भारत में बनती हैं वो पूरे विश्व में उपलब्ध हो पाएंगी। फूड प्रोसेसिंग इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए भी एक प्रोडक्शन लिंक्ड इंसेंटिव स्कीम तैयार करी जा रही है मिनिस्ट्री द्वारा, फूड प्रोसेसिंग मिनिस्ट्री द्वारा, और मुझे उम्मीद है उससे भी बल मिलेगा इस क्षेत्र को। साधारणतः हमारी कोशिश है कि भारत का जो ब्रांड है वो विश्व भर में रिकॉग्नाइज हो, उसकी पहचान बने और उस पहचान के तहत हमारे कृषि क्षेत्र के उत्पाद का बड़े रूप में निर्यात करने की संभावना हो सके। दूसरा प्रश्न आपका क्या था?
सर, फॉरेन ट्रेड पॉलिसी कब तक?
नई पॉलिसी, फॉरेन ट्रेड पॉलिसी साधारणतः 1 अप्रैल को आती है। पिछले वर्ष कोविड के कारण हमने एग्जिस्टिंग पॉलिसी को 1 वर्ष के लिए एक्सटेंड कर दिया था। इस वर्ष 1 अप्रैल को पॉलिसी लाने की हमारी योजना है।
Sir, there is another question. What is the plan to fast track standards and QCOs?
ये एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण विषय है जिसपे प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने विशेष ध्यान देने का आदेश दिया है। आप सब जानते हैं कि साधारणतः जो डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज है वो क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स पे बहुत बल देती है अमेरिका में तो 8,000 से अधिक क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं। यूरोप, यूनाइटेड किंगडम वगैरह में भी लगभग 3,000 प्रोडक्ट्स के ऊपर जो HSN कोड्स हैं उस पर क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं। जापान, कोरिया, आसियान के कई देश, इन सब में बड़े पैमाने पे क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स को इस्तेमाल किया जाता है अपने खुद की डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्शन की क्वालिटी सुधारने के लिए, और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय जो ट्रेड होता है उसमें भी क्वालिटी अच्छी हमारी देश में आए या हमारे देश से दूसरे देशों में जाए, उसको सुनिश्चित करने के लिए। भारत दुर्भाग्य से इसमें बहुत पीछे रह गया। आजादी के बाद 65 वर्षों तक बहुत कम स्टैंडर्ड्स बनाए गए थे। मोदी जी की सरकार आने के बाद हमने विश्व स्तरीय डेटा कलेक्ट करना शुरू किया, अलग अलग इंडस्ट्री से चर्चा विचार विमर्श बढ़ाया, और आज के दिन भारत में लगभग 500 से के करीब HSN कोड्स पे क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं। पर हम इससे जरा भी संतुष्ट नहीं है। हमारी इच्छा है कि हर इंडस्ट्री अपने अपने क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स विश्व स्तरीय बनाए, हमारे साथ चर्चा करे, चाहे वो BIS हो, चाहे लाइन मिनिस्ट्री हो, और चर्चा के माध्यम से हम जल्द से जल्द उन क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स को अडॉप्ट करें, और इन क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स के माध्यम से भारत की भी क्षमता और अच्छी हो, हम अच्छे तरीके से विश्व में compete कर पाए, और भारत में भी जो सामान इंपोर्ट होता है, आयात होता है, उसको भी अगर अच्छी क्वालिटी का नहीं है तो उसको रोक पाए। भारत में सिर्फ अच्छी क्वालिटी सामान को स्वागत करें, और हम भी जहां पे एक्सपोर्ट करें उनको ये विश्वास आए कि भारत का सामान है तो जरूर अच्छी क्वालिटी का सामान होगा।
So there's a question on FDI policy, which says that we have liberalized FDI policy in several sectors. The latest announcement was in the insurance sector. Are we considering easing FDI norms in more areas?
Are there any other areas except multi-brand retail where there is any restriction? अब तो बैंकिंग की तरह इंश्योरेंस भी 74% हो जाएगा, तो अब मल्टी ब्रांड रिटेल ही एक प्रमुख सेक्टर है और उसमें कोई बदलाव की हमारी कल्पना नहीं।
Thank you, sir.
Right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.